Hi, and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Muchler.
I'm Gabe Shenhar.
And I'm Jake Fisher.
In this episode, we're talking trucks. We've recently had quite a nail-biter of a test, wondering which truck was going to wind up on top, the Ram 1500 or the Chevy Silverado. Gabe, how did it all turn out?
How it turned out is really interesting because we think that the Ram is the better car in terms of being a commuter car, but as a truck, I think the Silverado trumps it in terms of payload capacity and other truck-related things.
Yeah, the Silverado outscored the Ram in our testing, despite the fact most of us liked the Ram better.
Well, like Gabe says, the Ram is the better car. I think that pretty sums it up. I mean, we keep on talking about it as the luxury truck, and it really is. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it's
the coil springs
nice
in the back give it the best ride of any truck.
But unfortunately, it doesn't haul as much, it doesn't tow as much, it doesn't do the truck stuff. And actually, the Silverado, it's very, very quiet too. It gets better fuel economy.
Doesn't ride as well.
Doesn't ride as well, but
and doesn't have the powertrain of the Hemi, which is wonderful.
No,
and
that
8-speed automatic is terrific, and it's such an effortless powertrain. So I mean, if I'm like need a truck to commute. Let's say I live in Houston and I need a truck to commute every day. I'm taking the Ram because I'm not like carrying stuff or towing a lot of stuff like you.
Well, it's kind of funny. The folks at Autoblog, that they have their marathon podcasts, which last about 4 hours, I think. But they made the point that in Consumer Reports testing, we often go for the more car-like truck. We're big fans of the Honda Ridgeline, which we'll talk about later. We always liked the Chevy Avalanche, which was very car-like. In this case, though, the Silverado wins on the numbers because it has about 300, 400 pounds more payload. When you max out towing capacity, it can tow, it's rated to tow about 1,500 pounds more than the Ram. So the Silverado wins there. But I mean, there are other things that the Silverado does really, really well. It's got a roomy back seat. It handles pretty well.
It's always been a Chevy Silverado advantage over its competitors. The handling is pretty car-like, if you can say that.
It is. So is the access, because the truck is lower. And again, earlier, we did a first drive of the Silverado where, we always mentioned the access, and people would complain, oh, but it's a truck. I need ground clearance. The ground clearance difference is half an inch between these two trucks. It doesn't really matter. And there's the fuel economy. This is the most fuel-efficient, full-size, gas-powered truck. I'm sure the Ram diesel will beat the 16 miles per gallon here. But between these two trucks, that's going to save you about 100 gallons, 150 gallons of gas a year. That adds up. So, I mean, what it really comes down to, though, is, by the numbers, and, we aren't just picking the best car. And like I said, it's like, what was it, the Subaru? The Baja?
The Baja. That, if we put that in the truck category, it probably would have been the best. But really, it wouldn't, because we do take into account things like hauling and payload and all those things. And actually, we were kind of playing with the numbers before, and actually, if you take away the additional capacities that the Silverado has, actually, the two trucks are basically at parity. They're basically the same. Yep. They're very, very close in what they do. What puts it above is, and obviously when you make a truck, you make certain compromises. So, maybe you want to have, stiffer suspension to be able to have that extra, 400 pounds of payload. Yeah. But that is going to hurt the ride when you have it empty. And
I mean, practically speaking, that 400 extra pounds of payload makes far more difference, probably, believe it or not, than the 1,500 pounds of trailer towing. Because you tow a trailer, you've got to deal with tongue weight, you have to deal with what's inside the cab. Most people, they buy half-ton trucks, they're not towing out at the hairy edge of the max rating.
Well, and that's it. So really, regardless, I know everyone likes to make a big deal about it. We say the Silverado beats the Ram, whatever. It may not be the best truck for everybody. It depends on who you are, what you need. So if you're not going to be towing that extra 1,000 pounds, if you're not going to be hauling the extra capacity, really that Ram's going to be the better truck for you. So just because one is above the other, it doesn't mean it's the better one for you. You got to figure out what you want to do. And in fact, for me, and we've talked about this too, I don't think I'd buy either one of those. I think I'd probably wind up with a Ram V6 with the 8-speed, or actually probably that diesel that's coming out. I'm going to wait for that diesel.
Yeah. Well, I did want to ask you guys, what full-size truck would you buy?
Well, I'm not exactly the truck kind of guy. totally admitting it.
Let's say you moved to Montana.
Let me guess. The best pickup truck for you, GTI.
Exactly. Chop off the rest of it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they made the Rabbit pickup truck.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I wouldn't buy a pickup truck without the Easy Gate that the Silverado has and the Ram doesn't have. And so does the Tundra and the Titan. But that's an awesome kind of thing. I mean, lowering the gate, it's fully damped, it's low effort. That's really handy.
It is a real nice feature. I mean, between the two trucks, I also would buy the Ram. I think the 8-speed automatic's terrific. Honestly, though, I'd probably buy a used Avalanche. You know, 09 or newer, get the 6-speed automatic. That rides probably a little bit better than the Ram. You know, and you get one used, probably $25,000, something like that.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of pickup truck fuel economy, we also did some testing to find out, to answer the age-old myth, do you get better fuel economy with the tailgate down or up? Jake?
Yes. Well, we didn't know the answer to this too, so we tried it out, and we spliced in a fuel meter, and we did that, and we did the tailgate up and down. We also put a tonneau cover on it, which it actually still has. And you know, the 1 mile per gallon difference between these two trucks, well, if you could go and put the tailgate down or do that and equalize it, that would be great. Well, turns out not so much. It doesn't actually help, actually wound up hurting a little bit too.
Yeah, about half a mile per gallon?
About a half mile per gallon worse with the cover or with the tailgate down.
Right. Mythbusters did this, you know, a couple years ago. We did it a little more accurately. You know, like you said, we spliced in a fuel meter to find out the difference.
But we like the myth busting.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with the myth busting. No, that's good stuff.
Mythbusters is better to watch than us, to tell you the truth. They're pretty good.
I think we're more handsome.
I
really don't think we're gonna. Oh, do I get to break?
Well, you already got the
I
facial hair.
I do have the facial hair.
Yes.
I also want to talk about the compact truck market because it seems to be slowly dying away. It's just kind of fading off. You know, there's really only two competitors anymore. You know, the Tacoma and the Frontier.
Tacoma and Frontier, and also, I mean, the thing is that when you get a crew cab, four-wheel drive compact truck, price-wise, it really starts touching the full size.
There is a lot of overlap.
So,
our last Tacoma cost $33,000.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, these trucks need to be $16,000.
Well, no,
And
maybe not that. I mean, we have a couple of people on the staff here. Their husbands own Frontiers, Nissan Frontier, which is a pretty good truck. I'd much rather have it to a Tacoma. It handles a lot better, drives a lot better. They bought them for $22,000. You know, that's what a compact truck
That's
should
where
cost.
it needs to be at. And Chevy, I mean, GM's bringing the Canyon and the other one. Colorado. I think for 15, and
they won't be $15,000.
No, they won't. But we'll see. I mean, that's always a tough market, and I think the thing is, they need to be more work-related. They need to have diesel engines, and then they're going to be more appealing.
Well, basically what they are in other
world.
markets.
Yes.
But I think what's happened is, you know, pickup trucks. I mean, okay, some people are using for contractors or work trucks, but really they're not. They're everyday vehicles. So when you start equipping these vehicles that are, I mean, the compact trucks, I mean, they always were traditionally pretty, you know, bolted together, you know? I mean, yeah, really. When you start equipping those, yeah, there's not much of a difference between a full-size truck. If you go to the other end and get something that's really a stripper and that's low price, you know what? You might as well buy a used one.
Right.
And you know, and especially when you start looking at Tacoma. I mean, Tacoma, we got reliability information on these things. I mean, they run for freaking ever.
Well, but Tacoma's also
it's a workhorse that's going to last forever.
But they cost a ton of money on the used market. They don't depreciate much.
Well,
I mean, you know, Tacomas don't. Ridgelines don't either.
But here's the thing. It's like if you think about it, it's like my everyday car, and I'm looking for a 2-year-old one. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. But the truth is that, you know what? I could have a normal car. I keep this as my third car if I do need to haul something. And then you don't buy a 2-year-old Tacoma. You buy one that's 10 years old. And
you got to make sure the frame hasn't rusted out in that thing.
Right, well, I think there's some extended warranty on that. But yeah, you get an old Tacoma. You don't pay a whole lot. Well, maybe you buy one of the guys here is going to a Mazda B2000 or something.
God.
I mean,
yeah, that's an ancient.
One of the guys here has a Ranger too, which I
don't envy him.
No, they're like cockroaches. They run forever, but that just means you're stuck driving them forever.
Yeah.
But you know, you raise an interesting point. These full-size trucks behind us, they're $42,000. And you know, before you go into, oh, well, you loaded them up. These are basically equipped the same as a $25,000 Camry. You know, full power options, a power seat, and a touchscreen radio. You know, these aren't fancy trucks, you know, which can easily top 50 grand.
Yeah, and that's the sweet spot for a full-size pickup truck. That's what most people buy.
And most people also get several $1,000s off in incentives too. But also, I want to talk about the Honda Ridgeline. You know, we rated the Ridgeline really high back in the day.
It makes a lot of sense.
It's a very clever truck. It does, you know, that tailgate slides out and the storage in the bed. But again, it's $33,000. Honda's only selling 15 to 20,000 a year.
It just hasn't hit it off with the public. It's just not enough of a truck.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't really do anything well. It's the hybrid bicycle, okay? I mean, last night I did a triathlon, okay? And you go on the triathlon and everyone's doing this road bike and everyone's got the tri-bikes and the road bikes. Well, one guy was there with a hybrid bike. And you know what? He can't go mountain biking with it and he can't go road biking with it. It doesn't do anything well. So what most people do is they have a road bike and they have a mountain bike. This is the thing with trucks. You know, if you want to be a truck, be a truck. If you want to be a car, be a car. You take the Ridgeline, it's not a great truck, and it's not a great car. And this day and age, just buy one of each.
I argue the other side.
I kind of guessed that.
Because I can.
Me and Gabe saw this coming.
I mean, you know, for that guy, most of the bike riding, he's going to do the hybrids probably the best. For most people, what they're going to do with the truck, Ridgeline's fine. I mean, you know, it's got a big enough bed. It's very comfortable. The handling's really good.
And the numbers completely agree with you.
It's very much like the Avalanche. You know, the Avalanche was a total flop in the market, but it made a lot of sense. It had a unified body and bed. It was the whole thing's completely covered from the elements.
It never had
really
top ratings,
a genius,
you know, of tow
kind of
ratings.
a truck.
Yeah, it never had top tow ratings or payload ratings, but it had enough. You know, but again, like you said, it was...
Well, it also cost $1 million. You know, I mean, the other thing about, you know, being kind of the jack of all trades and master of nothing, and you look at tires too, and we talk about this. You know, in America, everyone has all-season tires. You go to other markets, and what do? You have
summer tires, winter tires.
Summer tires and winter tires. And you know what? The whole time, they're performing better. So, I mean, if you have the possibility to have something that's really designed to be a truck and designed to be a car, you're going to be better off.
Yeah, I think
you just
it's been
made
proven.
me sad because I'm not going to argue the tire point with you. I agree completely on the tire point.
But I think it's been proven that, with all due respect to reinventing something, which I like, the pickup truck is just a very conservative kind of a thing. I mean, it has to stay true to its core attributes. And if you start to reinvent it and expand the possibilities, it just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
Ridgeline, Avalanche.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, because the Tacoma, which sells pretty well still for a compact truck, is a very traditional truck. You can even argue the Frontier is more alternative than the Tacoma. No, you have a point there. Question from Facebook I wanted to get to about heavy-duty trucks. I have to purchase a truck for employment purchases soon. I want a 3/4 ton quad cab and a long bed. He wants to haul a fifth-wheel camper. I guess he's doing insurance work, going to catastrophes to do claims adjusting. I want to know the best truck for the job, and which truck, you know, if he buys a used one, because 3/4 ton trucks are really expensive. What's his best choice?
I would tend to say Silverado, because when we tested the 2500s, it was at least tolerable in terms of ride and it had a modicum of handling response, which was better than the Ford and the Ram. So I'd tend to stay with a Silverado there.
I mean, again, we're getting into that nether world of liking trucks because they do car things better. But I mean, in this case, yeah, you know, the F-250, which is a workhorse, its emergency handling limits are very low. The thing just plows straight ahead. It's like a mule. You know, it's made to pull straight. You know, but it doesn't really turn.
Yeah, I mean, despite looking like the most rugged and the toughest truck out there and having 2 live axles, in terms of payload, it's not the best.
Yeah, the other thing is that the Silverado, going back in our reliability data, it's by far the best. The Silverado is by far the most reliable. Both Ford's had problems over the years with diesel engines. Even Dodge, it was Dodge then, now Ram, they've had some teething issues with emissions on the Cummins. But one last thing, if you want to save some money, get the gas engine. The gas engine is going to be more reliable. If you're doing claims adjusting, you probably can find gasoline easier than diesel. And you'll save a lot of money. in
That's
advance.
one big ass gas engine. It's an 8.1
Well,
liter.
some of them, yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, the diesel tows better, but there are costs with getting diesel.
But the Duramax with the Allison is just a slick powertrain.
It is slick.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Finally, we have a non-truck related question. It comes from David Lim. He posted on Facebook. He's been a longtime subscriber, longtime forum member. I helped convince him to buy a Mazda Miata. He has a Passat like we used to have. I guess he's shopping for his next car. Here's his question. Would you go with a loaded Chevy Impala V6 or a base Audi A6 2.0T front-wheel drive? CR hasn't tested the front drive A6, so any guess here?
Well, that's literally an out-of-the-box kind of question.
Wow, pickup truck. It's out of a bed question.
Out of the bed, yes.
There we go.
Well, I think he answered his question. The question's been answered by what he drove before. So if he's got a Miata and he liked the Passat, he's going to be happier with the A6. I mean, the A6 is going to be a lot more money.
Yeah, there's probably $5,000 in
But
difference.
I mean, that kind of A6, though, he has to consider that it's going to take him probably 6 months to get that kind of car because I don't think they're building many of these front-wheel drive four-cylinder A6s for that price.
They're probably inexpensive leases down in Florida or something like that. You're not going to get them in the Northeast where it snows. Also, I'm surprised you didn't mention this. There is another car. There's a car that bridges the gap between the Impala and the A6.
There is.
Come on, Gabe.
Yeah, that's
you can do it. Come on, you can do it.
It's the Passat 3.6.
There you go, yay!
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a loaded Passat 3.6 SEL Premium, it handles better than the more cooking versions of the Passat. It's quick.
It's wonderful. I mean, and that is the only car with a DSG transmission that actually works well.
Yeah, that's a real nice car. That's something else you might want to consider. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Talking Cars. As always, thank you for listening.